Good Erev Shabbos, everybody, and welcome to Jerry's Parsha Ponderings for Parshat Vayishlach, coming to you live this week from freezing Cranford, New Jersey. Well, it's pretty cold. Not like in Israel. No, don't like it very much, but hey, gotta work. So Parshas Vayishlach has lots of good stuff. We started talking about it last week, so let's jump right into it over here. We're going to be talking about Yaakov, Esav, the Avos, the Imahos, and again, trying to keep it at 10 minutes. I have been not even close, but I'll do the best I can, so let's get going. Yaakov leaves Lavan's house, and as we know, he was on the way, and he was getting ready to meet his brother, who had sworn to kill him after the whole issue with the brachos. But Yaakov prepared for all eventualities, as we know. He separated the camps. He prayed, of course. You have to, pray to God and hope for his help, and then he prepared for war. He was ready to go to war if he absolutely had to. And his time in the house of Lavan really prepared him for this. If we go back, let's go back to the brachos in Parshat Toldot, when the whole with Rivka and the goat and the hair, how he dressed up, and he used trickery, if you will, mirma, to take the brachos from Esav. It was something he had to know how to do as a Jew. Yaakov sends a message to Esav and says, Im Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan. I have learned how to deal in the world. I learned how to deal in the world with difficult people, with enemies, with swindlers, right? Lavan was a swindler. And Yaakov, being the Bechir Sheba Avot, the father of the Shvatim, of the tribes, had to learn how to deal when you were small in number. Hashem promised the Avot, you will always exist, right? The Am Yisrael will always be around, but just like anything that's precious, it's rare. And Am Yisrael is small. We're a small nation. But we have to know how to deal in the world. Why are Jews shrewd in business? Oftentimes, even President Trump mentions it, right? We're known to be good business people. We're known as the people of the book. We study, we learn. Judaism is the only religion that says Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. The learning of Torah is above all else. Now, Torah doesn't only mean sitting and learning Gemara, which of course you have to do. It's important to learn the laws of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, but Torah means what? The actual word Torah is theory, right? We learn all subjects. Science is part of Torah. Literature can be part of Torah. Everything can be part of Torah. And that is what Yaakov learned in his years dealing with Esav and dealing with Lavan and dealing with Shechem, as we're about to see, that you have to be wise in the world and wise to the ways of the world in order to be successful. Moving swiftly along, my favorite term. For this, I have to give credit to Rabbanit Aliza Lipkin. I asked her if I could quote her on this, and she said it would be her honor, so I am going to do so. What happened with Dinah? Dinah is a very, very tragic figure in the Torah. We see that the 12 Shvatim were born. There was always a pasuk, Vatahar, Vateled, the whole, she became pregnant, she gave birth. With Dinah, it says, and afterwards, Leah had a daughter, and they called her Dinah, like an afterthought. And we see in the story of Dinah, and eventually the massacre of Shechem, it says, "Vatetze Dinah." Dinah went out lerot bivnot haaretz, to see about the daughters of the land. Dinah was trying to get out her whole life. We know that the story with Esav, that Yaakov put her in a box so that Esav wouldn't see her, and that's in Rashi, I believe. She was a cloistered person, and she was eager to breathe free, quote Emma Lazarus, right? She goes out. She basically is, Shem finds her desirable. He, for all intents and purposes, molests her. And then Shimon and Levi do what's necessary. And I think the Torah's, and Lisa actually mentions this, and I have to agree, the Torah is teaching us a lesson here. Maybe not so much to treat women as second-class citizens. Maybe the ultimate outcome of that isn't good. It didn't end well. There was a lot of bloodshed because of the Dinah incident. And Lo nitna haTorah lamalchei hashares. The Torah was not given to the angels. It was given to human beings. We make mistakes. All the avos made mistakes. Moshe Rabbeinu made mistakes. This was a mistake. The way Dinah was treated wasn't good. And because of what happened, it led to dire consequences. Dinah was the first member of the Me Too movement, unfortunately. And we see that even from the best families. I mean, we talk about it. My wife, Ruchi, actually deals with people that have survived molestation, survivors. And we know, even from the best families, this happens. And it's important that we learn from this episode that we have to have our eyes open, our ears open. And again, if you see something, say something. Just like if you see a suspicious person on a bus or a train or in the train station, you say something. If you see something that isn't kosher in relationships amongst our children, say something. Don't try to sweep it under the carpet. Don't put Dinah in a box, right? Because if you do that, it's not going to end well. And again, Shimon and Levi, look at what they did. They did the whole story. They told them, if you'll be like us, and you're circumcised. And once they were circumcised, of course, we know what happened. They went and did a whole bedikas chametz on them. I mean, they wiped out the city. Again, why with the trickery? Well, again, va'ani metei mispar, I am small in number. My father-in-law, Zechrona Levracha, told me stories. He fought in the 1948 war. He was a Holocaust survivor, came to Israel, and fought in the War of Independence. He was eventually a Sgan Aluf, a lieutenant colonel in the Israeli, in the IDF and the Navy. And he said that we had to use our Yiddish cup because we had the Aleph Bet strategy, Ein Breira. We had no choice. We had to use. They beat 7 Arab armies using this. He told me stories about how the strategies that were used, that they had to fight with their heads more than with their hands. And that's the story of Yaakov. Hakol kol Yaakov, v'hayadayim yedei Esav. And we'll see that through the ultimate combination of Yaakov and Esav, which is what Yitzchak originally intended, that at the end of days, and I believe we're getting pretty close, not the end of days, but we're in the Geula process, the redemption process that probably started with World War I and went through, of course, the Holocaust. I've mentioned before that I believe that was the quote-unquote Milchemet Gog uMagog, the terrible destruction that eventually led to the creation of the State of Israel and the beginning of the Geula process, the Hemshechta de Geula, the ongoing Geula process. And we are there. And there will come a time when Yaakov and Esav will once again join forces in good. We're getting there. It's going to take time. I believe a lot of what's going on right now with the President of the United States is part of that process. I mentioned that last week. And again, I'm going to mention that what's going on with this impeachment scandal is a disgrace, and it's a disgrace to the Jewish people. Every person that you see that's involved in this, Rachmana litzlan, is Jewish. And it's not everyone, but the main players, Schiff, Nadler, the three lunatic, quote-unquote, professors that had nothing. And they just said, well, abuse of power. What the hell is abuse of power? Uncovering corruption is abuse of power. That's his job. And this is awful, what's going on. We'll see. So Shimon and Levi were the first price tag, the first price tag that had to be paid in Eretz Yisrael for Hachazayna Yases Avosenu. You attack a Jewish woman, you attack a Jewish person, you attack a person in Eretz Yisrael. This is what you're going to get. And Shimon and Levi taught us a very, very important lesson. It's interesting because Yaakov, we said Yavos weren't perfect. He said afterwards, look what you did. You hevashtem oti. You made me stink in the eyes of the people of the land. And then I'm few in number. And what am I going to do? And what did Shimon and Levi say? No. You don't get away with this. And it says that when Yaakov went back to Yitzchak in Hebron, it says that the people were afraid of him now. Oh, look at that. You stand up for yourself and they're not going to attack you. They're saying, oh, no, I'm not messing with these guys. Look at what two of them were able to do. That's when you stand up for your rights and you do the right thing, Hashem will protect you. And that's exactly what happened. Don't be afraid to do what's right. If you do the right thing, even if there's a great cost and great bloodshed, you will be protected if necessary. And that's exactly what happened to Yaakov. He went back to Yitzchak. The people of the land, the Canaanites, they were like, no, we're not messing with these people. It's like, it's easy to sleep at night when you know you got the nuclear arsenal, right? And that's exactly what Yaakov had in those days. So I have to, the final thing we're going to talk about is, of course, the fighting with the angel. One of the most esoteric parts of the Torah. But first, in order to become Yisrael, this happened after, interestingly enough, the fighting was after Yaakov's coming back from Lavan, and he's getting ready to face Esav, and it was at that point when he had already learned the skills necessary to exist in the world and be that Ar Lagayim was when he met the angel, the Sarah Shel Esav, it's a Samael, according to many. And he, at that point, had become, it says later on in the parsha that Vayavo Yaakov Shalem Ir Shechem. He was whole. He had learned what is necessary, and this is also from my father-in-law, he taught me this, that the name Yisrael encompasses all the Avot. The Yud is Yaakov and Yitzchak, right? The Sin is Sarah, the Resh is Rachel and Rivka, the Aleph is Avraham, and the Lamed is Leah. Yisrael. He became who? The Sar of God, God's minister to the world. That's who Am Yisrael is. We are the Mamlechet Kohanim V'Gai Kadosh. We are the holy nation. And that means that we have people say, oh, Zionism is racism and they're racist and Jews think they're better. No, Chas v'shalom, all are God's children. Everyone comes from Adam and Chava, but we were given a task to be the Ar Lagayim, to be the light unto the nations, to bring Torah, ethics, wisdom, the exact opposite of what's going on right now in Congress. What's going on there is the exact opposite of what an Ar Lagayim is. It's showing how ungrateful people can be to arguably the best friend Israel has ever, not only Israel and the Jewish people in the White House. The president this week signed an executive order for all intents and purposes making anti-Semitism a federal offense, meaning that college campuses that involve themselves in the BDS movement, the boycott, divestiture, and sanctions against Israel, will not receive federal funding. This is how we thank him? That's the opposite of what we see Yaakov doing in the picture here, fighting with the Malach of Esav. But that's what God, in order for Yaakov to become Yisrael, to become God's messenger, to become God's minister, he had to know how to function in the world with difficult people. He had to know how to raise and protect a family. And it's not easy. We see at the end, we'll see in Parshat Vayechi, when he speaks to Paro, Yaakov, he said, Ma'at v'ra'im, he had a difficult life, but that's life. Life's difficult. It's not a walk in the park, right? And this is what Yaakov learned. When he came to Shechem, and as we said, he bought the property, one of the 3 places, if you remember back from a few weeks ago, the Makom HaMikdash, Harabayit, Hebron, and Shechem were paid cash. And the Torah tells us, Mea Ksita he paid, which was a king's ransom. He bought from Shechem, and that is where Keva Yosef is today. But that was what Yaakov needed to do. And it was through his challenges and who he became in the house of Lavan and learning how to deal in the world, not cloistering himself, but learning how to be a true Ar Lagayim, that he was able to become Yisrael. Shabbat hi makar habracha. Shabbat is the source of all blessing. Don't forget. And as Walter says, I don't roll on Shabbos. Don't roll on Shabbos. On Shabbos, spend time with your family. Go to shul, daven, spend time with Hashem. It's the time that it's our special time with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So take advantage of it. Enjoy Shabbos. Enjoy the downtime. Sign off and spend some time, like I said, with Hashem and your family. Have an absolutely wonderful Shabbos, everybody, and please tune in next week when we study Parshas Vayeshev. Good stuff again. Bereshis is just full of great stuff. So I'll see if I can pull this off in Vayikra, but I'm going to do my best. Have an absolutely wonderful Shabbos, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. See you back here next week.